Hey y'all, welcome to another edition of A Little Perspective, finally free edition. I get to speak with three of my co-authors for our book, Finally Free, that is coming out January 21st. Thank you ladies so much for joining us. I'm super excited to hear about your chapters and the inspiration that we're going to get when we walk away from this conversation. So Latoya, why don't we start with you? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Well, thank you again for having me on. And I'm excited about Finally Free, and it's coming out. I'm just a small hometown girl that decided to say yes to herself and just find a way to give back. This book will be really eye-opening. I'm 41-year-old mother of three amazing sons, a wife, life transformation coach through health and wellness, and now a stay-at-home mom just because I decided to free myself of the job world and really pursue my passion. So thank you again.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Miss Mavis, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, and thank you so much for having us on today. I feel so honored to be among you superstars of light. My name is Mavis A. Creagh, and I come all the way from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Currently, I serve as the executive director with R3SM, a nonprofit that was created to help alleviate suffering as far as repairs and rebuilds following natural disaster. Also, I just created my women's ministry, We Women Ministries, to help bridge the gap between different women from different backgrounds to let them know that they are not alone and there is hope and restoration even at their darkest hour.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much. All right, Miss Valerie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, Angela and ladies. I'm so happy to be here. Very excited. So my name is Valerie C. Thompson. I was created to encourage, inspire, and uplift. I am the creator of Own Your Truth Coaching, which was blessed, or I'll say birthed, during the pandemic. So I, like Latoya, said yes to life, meaning 9 to 5 is not for me. So I stepped out on faith and am pursuing so many different levels of entrepreneurship, and I'm excited about the journey. My heart is for women who have been in domestic violence because I am a domestic violence survivor. And so when Don told me the title of the book, Finally Free, I was like, that's for me. I got to be in that. So it's just one of those things where I'm excited to be here on this journey. I am a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I am just ready to say yes to life even more and continue on this journey because it's so many awesome and amazing things that are happening right now. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Wow, that gave me chills. That's awesome. All right, Miss Latoya, so why don't you tell us a little bit about your decision to be a part of this book? Because, you know, writing a chapter, especially for a book like this, where it's very personal and you're having to kind of put yourself out there a little bit for anyone who wants to read it. So were you nervous? Were you hesitant? Tell us a little bit about your decision to be a part of the book.
Absolutely nervous, but doing it scared regardless. I said yes, like I said, because I didn't want to say no. I feel that me writing this, the chapter is Pain into Power, and sitting down really spilling how I felt growing up as a young girl, obesity, not feeling pretty enough, loved, unwanted. It's a lot of young girls right now going through the same issues and situations that I went through as a child. And I wanted them to know that you don't have to. You know, find ways to love yourself, not letting food be for comfort, but for using it for fuel. And then knowing that you are enough. Let's see, writing this chapter, I thought I was free. But the more I put it down on paper and the more I was able to express and release myself, I was eventually finally free. So this chapter here is going to be not only life-changing to so many others, but it was life-changing to me to really see how I transformed from the the feeling of not being loved, but knowing you love, people love you, but you're not loving yourself. So those hacks that I came up with, as I say, my life hacks to be finally free, I'm ready to release it to the world for the young girls that's out here today looking for a way to find themselves, truly finding love within themselves.
Oh, that is incredible. That is so, so good. Thank you so much for sharing that, for stepping out and doing it scared, for being here to talk about it. We need so much more of that for sure. All right, Miss Mavis, why don't you tell us about your journey to making the decision to be a part of the book and what your chapter is about?
Well, my journey started like Miss Thompson as well. I am a survivor of different forms of abuse. But really going into 2020, the second half, I really was able to kickstart as far as being able to tell my story in different portions of it. Because with life, there's so many different facets of our lives that we don't share. So this is actually my own. I think this will be my fourth project within 6 months on this year that I went into. But my chapter is really about really being freeing yourself. A lot of times we focus on the hurt and the pain that other people did to us and how that impacted us. But what about the self-doubt, the self-pain, the hurtful behaviors that we have picked up along the way to try to cope? And how do you forgive yourself of those decisions? And so it was really more so a love letter, I guess, to myself about being finally free. And what does that look like? And what steps do you really have to take to free yourself and to forgive yourself and move forward?
Wow.
Yes.
That is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. All right, Miss Valerie, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey into the book?
So again, and ladies, everything you said, it's like we're all kind of piggybacking on it, because I feel the same way. My journey with the book, again, meeting Don, I was like, you're an angel, because again, the title of the book, God immediately told me, you're going to write this chapter and you're going to prophesy over your life. This is my second anthology. And I have to say this, in the first one, I talked about getting a divorce and going back to my husband because God said so. In this one, I'm talking about God didn't say so. So it's really, it's really like, okay, look, lady, get it together. It is what it is. Own your truth and rise. That's the title of the chapter. So the reality was, because we as ladies, we do this, you know that something's not right, but you stay in it. Mm-hmm. And so my book talks about thinking that this was the voice of God telling me to stay, but God is telling me no. And so really I had to change myself because I can't change the other person. And so my chapter is really about, ladies, own your truth, love yourself and rise, stand up in your power, stand up in your abundance, stand up in your prosperity. And God is calling you out and it's okay. So it really talks about loving yourself and taking the necessary steps that you need to take to come out of it. And it's okay. And that's my truth, because literally I had to prophesy that. And so as we speak, I am in transition and transformation. This was something that went on for 22 years.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know, so it's so freeing. And I have to say this, my ex, in my phone, I put his name as Finally Free. So when Don came with the title.
Wow.
Look at that manifestation.
Wow.
It's like, look, you don't have to ask me more. Look, you don't even have, yes. So it's, for me, it's just, it's real. God is amazing. And when you have faith and when you know who you are and whose you are, you're going to step out and you're going to do what God has called you to do. So I am in a place, again, of transition, transformation, but I have faith. And so I hope women are encouraged, and I want women to understand, listen to that voice, listen to your intuition, listen, because that's your truth. And it's okay. It may not make sense sometimes, but it's okay. You know, because sometimes we don't understand. Lean not on your own understanding, but acknowledge God, and everything else works itself out. So I'm really excited.
That's awesome. Oh,
Yes, it
that's
is.
so exciting.
Yeah.
And I love how there is kind of a common theme and thread between the three of you, which was not intentional. So it worked out really
Right.
nice.
Right.
You know, Latoya, you talk a lot about self-love and truly valuing yourself. Do you have a tip or a first step that you typically make a recommendation for someone looking to kind of get back right with themselves? Because like you said, we don't really always think about the relationship with ourselves.
Right. So my thing for me, and Valerie, you have hit it. I'm talking about ladies. We are connected for whatever the divine connection is to
Yes.
be fine-tunedly free. And I'm talking about freedom. It's truth and freedom. So when I say my life hacks, HACK, and I always like to have little acronyms because when you're talking to youth, you want to make sure you have something where they can remember, but not just for the youth, but ladies that still have that little girl trapped inside that they haven't been able
Yes.
to be free. So me, when doing this book, not knowing all of that pain, that deep rooted pain, was still talking to that little girl inside that needed to grow up, that needed to be released so that I could become the woman that God has created me to be. So when I say hacks, first you have to be honest. You got to be honest with what is the truth. A lot of stuff we put on the back burner or we bury so deep down because we feel like we're the only ones going through it, or we're the only ones that been through some stuff like that. Well, you got to get that root up out so that you can be able to move forward in life. So H is always being honest. And then, you know, in the book, I'll give the other tips of my hacks, but honesty and truth, your own truth, owning your truth is your freedom. That's your first form of freedom, is knowing who you are and who you belong to, like Valerie said, and then be honest enough with yourself to ask for your help, and then use that strength, use that help that you've gotten and you're receiving. And I say that all the time from the Lord. Use your strength to use that pain that was buried deep inside to power you, to fuel you to your next, whatever your next may be. Each and every day we have new opportunities to live our calling and our destiny, but that fear of failure will hold you back. So you got to be honest enough to say, hey, I'm scared, but I need to do this so that I can move forward. So there you go, Angela.
That's awesome. That goes perfectly in line with, you know, what Valerie had said about herself and how she had to be honest with herself, that wasn't an actual message from God, that was just what she wanted to do. So why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of like, because what we, like you said, we do stuff like that. We just do, and or have, for most of us. Can't say everybody, but I have. And when it's happening, you kind of know it's happening, but you're like, eh. But then like there comes a point where you have to be like, okay, here's the line. Am I gonna finally just be honest with myself, or am I gonna keep trying to pretend like it's something else? So how do you kind of get to that line to be able to like, all right, self, come on now.
So, and I'm not coming off as a relationship expert by any means, but when you've been in something that you know is toxic, like God showed you, and you've prayed, you fasted, you've done everything that you've needed to do, and yet those things continue to show up. But you've also taken the time to work on yourself, and yet those things continue to show up in the other person. That's the reality. Then you come to a point of saying, I can't stand this, and I can go along to get along, because in it, you can still be thriving. You can have a house, you can have some material things, and you have children, and it's good. But when it's not good, it's like, well, wait a minute. These are things that we should have been delivered from at this point. Like certain conversations, certain things shouldn't keep coming up in something that you've been praying on. Like that's where it was for me. So because I took a step to get a divorce, I got a divorce because it wasn't right. So that was number one. But then when I went back and it still wasn't right, I said, okay, enough is enough. Okay, if you stay in this, then something's wrong with you, right? Because if you continue to do the same thing and it's not the other person, it's you, right? So I had to really stand up in that. And when we're in it, we think, okay, well, I got to stay because of the children, or I have to stay because of my finances. Whatever reason, we make those excuses. So that to me is really not giving God the glory. Like, God can do so many awesome and amazing things when we let go and let God. So I said, you know what? I'm throwing my hands up, like literally. I may not have this, that, or the other, but I trust God. And truly, it becomes a faith walk. And literally, that's what I'm on. And when I tell you, so many doors and opportunities opened up when I said yes to whatever God is calling me to. Purpose. It's not personal, it's purpose.
Right.
And you have to begin, like, if God is speaking, like, you hear, we ignore it. But I began to just say, okay, Lord, I can't do this. And I began to get really excited. And then there were powerful women that just started showing up with opportunities. The more I talked about it, the more opportunities presented themselves. And I had to say yes. And so, again, I know as women and men, we stay in it because it's comfortable. But it doesn't mean it's right. So I just said, you know what? Again, I can stay or I can go. I'm choosing to go because I know God has called me to speak about it and walk in purpose, on purpose for God's huge purpose. And I don't know if I answered the question, but that's just what
You did amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, that was incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Mavis, you said you've done 6 projects this year. Is that correct?
This will be my 4th one, and I got another one that's come that I to a 5th one that's coming out in February.
So are you telling different stories? Or are you kind of
They are. The first book, of course, was Trailblazers Who Lead, which I know I met a lot of different women from that, and it was more so as far as me leaving a 10-year long-term relationship, and packing up my stuff in the truck and just starting fully over, and what that looks like, and just telling women and men that it's okay to start over. It's okay to put the reset button. It's okay to feel like you have failed and stayed somewhere and tried to work on something and it just doesn't work out. And if it's not the best thing, that's okay. You have to do what's best for you. And if you have children in that situation, you have to think about them and what are you telling them? What are you relaying to them? And you don't want to be in a diminished capacity when you're dealing with your children, and because there's only so much you can function when somebody else is beating you down. There's only so much you can give out when you are constantly being pushed down and made to feel less than. There's only so much you can give of yourself in that capacity. And if it's anybody that's listening and that feels like they are in that diminished state, not getting out of bed, can't function, can't think straight, all the rest of that foolishness that come with those foolish relationships, it's okay. It's okay to be like, you know what? This ain't working. This ain't rocking. And especially if you're in a situation that you feel for your life and you're scared, then that means you need to work on the plan. And I'm not saying jump up tomorrow if you don't have a plan in place. But if you feel like you're scared for your life, then you might just have to leave with everything in your car and pack them children up and sleep on the floor and eat hot dogs and stay abread. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And since I have left, I have been in a situation, I know that God would not have blessed me in the capacity and the way, because sometimes when you're attached to people that aren't a part of your destiny, they block what God has for you. And not to say that that person is just the Satan's son, but some attachments do not align with your ultimate destiny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was awesome. That was so well said. Ladies, do you guys have any questions for each other, maybe?
No, I just want to say, Ms. Mavis, you have really hit some highlights and some pointers, because just you sharing that bit of information, it is so many. I have come in contact with so many women that feel less than or feel like they're not important enough to leave or to transition, or they don't know how to leave, and they worry about what everybody else might say or have to say. And I tell people all the time, me myself, I've had to divorce, and the husband that I had was the one that I wanted. And you know, the Lord will give you, you can be in permissive will, but you want to be in his perfect will, and what he has for you is going to be better than what you wanted. And then sometimes those things that we want is not what we're supposed to have. And so you find yourself where you're unable to grow. You're unable to flourish. You're not in a conducive environment where you can thrive. You're just existing and merely hanging in there. But I tell women today, you have to be delivered from others people's opinions of you, because your ultimate goal is to be pleasing to him. And by you transitioning your mind, and you're standing on your faith, or standing on the word, or you're learning, and you're surrounding yourself with people that are cheering you on to move you forward, you do not have to stay in that stuck situation. And that hit so much home to me, because in my transition of leaving, it was, do I go? Do I stay? What they gonna say? Even to the point, but even before I married, I heard the Lord say, this ain't it. But I wanted it just so bad, because it was already planned. We was already about to celebrate. We had the party going, even though that was not the party that was for me. I was attending and I was there, but that was not where I was supposed to be. So for you to hit home and say, it's okay, and let women know, let them know, you know, a lot of us, we keep stuff in. And me growing up here, and what go on in your house, stay in your house. No, it don't. If it ain't working, you better get you some help. You better find somebody that you can talk to that's going to give you some wisdom to do what you need to do. And I'm not saying, and I'm not a relationship counselor, I'm not saying pack up and go, but I'm saying listen to some people that know, that's been there, and that can give you some godly wisdom on doing what's best for you and your family, especially when it comes to children.
And I would like to add too.
Go ahead, Ms. Mavis.
When I remember one time I was at one of my churches, and the focus, it was domestic violence awareness, and the pastor did a Bible study about what that looks like in the biblical stance of that God doesn't want his daughters to be in bondage and to be mistreated. And I think that's something, biblical stance, I think the churches need to speak up. The churches need to speak up and to be clear that that is not what God says. God did not make his daughters to be punching bags. I don't know why I'm focusing on this today, because this was not the plan. But that God did not make his daughters to be punching bags and to be misused and to be abused in no fashion, form, or shape. You know, if you feel like your life is in danger, please get out. And, you know, not to say that you might can't reconcile with treatment and different stuff, but if you feel like your life is in danger and you cannot sleeping with knives under the pillows and all different kind of stuff, trying to make sure that you don't get injured anymore, get out.
Wow. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. I'm glad you said that. Your self-worth, your health, your mind, your body, all of that is priceless. And if you don't know your worth, then why do you expect somebody else to?
So, yeah, and there are some great local organizations here for sure, and assumably most places to be able to help with that, because getting out is the first part. That's the right, and it can be scary. So finding some sources, some resources can be ideal. Thank you, ladies, so much for opening up and sharing so boldly. I really appreciate it. You know, I'm certain that there's going to be somebody that hears this that needed to hear it, and
Absolutely.
that's kind of
Thank
why
you.
we do this, right? That's why we contribute to these things. So, all right, ladies. So why don't I'm going to ask each of you to let us know how people can connect with you, because I'm certain that there are people out there that want to know how they can connect with you. So, Miss Latoya, why don't you tell us the best way for people to connect with you?
Okay, so you can find me, of course, on Facebook, Latoya Griggs. Also on Instagram, Latoya Griggs. Let's see, text, and my number is all over Facebook. And then, of course, free to be skinny me at yahoo.com. So
awesome, wonderful. And when we post this, we'll put you guys in the comments so that people can easily reach out. Miss Mavis, why don't you tell us how people can connect with you?
Yes, thank you so much for having us once again, Miss Angela, the wonderful and the dynamic superstar. You can connect with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, Mavis Creagh. Also, Mavis Creagh Media at gmail.com if you would like to discuss more. So just thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. All right, Miss Valerie, how can people connect with you?
Thank you. You can connect with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, Valerie C. Thompson. Instagram is Own Your Truth, Valerie Thompson. And my website is www.valeriecthompson for Own Your Truth Coaching. And I do have a podcast that is Own Your Truth with Valerie C. Thompson.
How often does your podcast come out?
Not often enough.
that's fine. We're working on it.
Gonna be more. I gotta own my truth. I'm being honest.
I hear you. I understand. It's a process for sure.
It's a process. It's a process.
Oh, awesome. Thank you guys so much. This was wonderful. And I cannot wait until our book comes out. I can't wait to be able to actually see you guys in person.
Yay, that's going to be exciting.
Yes.
So much power. We are so powerful.
I know.
Stronger together, ladies. Stronger together.
Yes, absolutely. All right, ladies. Well, y'all have a wonderful afternoon. I love y'all, and thank you again.
I love you all too.
Thank you. Love you.